Here's a part that I found a little bit annoying. And it was interesting because when I heard this same sort of spirit in 2004 at that Democratic convention in Boston, it was something that I appreciated. And now I don't.
We still may not agree on a woman's right to choose, but surely we can agree it's a good thing that teen pregnancies and abortions are nearing all-time lows and that every woman should have access to the health care that she needs. Yes, passions still fly on immigration, but surely we can all see something of ourselves in the striving young student and agree that no one benefits when a hardworking mom is snatched from her child, and then it's possible to shape a law that upholds our tradition as a nation of laws and a nation of immigrants. I've talked to Republicans and Democrats about that. That's something that we can share. We may go at it in campaign season, but surely we can agree that the right to vote is sacred, that it's being denied to too many, and that on this 50th anniversary of the Great March from Selma to Montgomery and the passage of the Voting Rights Act, we can come together, Democrats and Republicans, to make voting easier for every single American.
When he went in towards the end where he said, if we're going to have arguments, let's have arguments. And he goes on to say, like, we still may not agree on a woman's right to choose, but surely we can agree it's a good thing that teen pregnancies and abortions are nearing all-time lows.
No, we can't agree on that.
That's
we can't agree on. We can't agree on voting rights. The Supreme Court doesn't agree with him on voting rights.
Exactly. And
I think the other one was about cops and
immigration. He said, like, well, no one benefits when a hardworking mom is taken from her child. No, on the contrary, they advocate for that.
Yeah, and they get reelected by advocating for that.
Indeed. I mean, that I found very frustrating because I understand the tactical basis behind it, but we're not in an era where legislation is going to pass. I mean, the point of this speech, it seems to me, because next year, the speech that he gives is going to be fully seen in the context of the election, right? Of the 2016 election.
Oh, yeah.
So this is his last speech, and some people are billing it as his Reagan moment where he basically says he uses finally the bully pulpit in some fashion to just set an agenda. But when you do not say to the American public, and he didn't even have to say, look, the Republicans do want to take hardworking mothers away from their children. He's got to, at the very least, not concede that this is a shared goal. He's got to say, this should be the goal. And anybody who's not on board with this goal is out of the mainstream. And that I found incredibly frustrating, even though I know that's who President Obama is.
Well, now you're asking to go contrary to his essential nature. I've written now 5 pieces for the Esquire Dead Tree magazine about him, starting with all oriented around with the character who's actually me, called the Cynic, and started with the Cynic and Senator Obama in 2008, where I went through the 2004 speech and pointed out to him how very wrong he was. And I mean that tick of his, while I admire his ability to stay with it and I admire his faith in the American people, it doesn't jive with political reality. And it won't jive with political reality until the Republican Party stops being insane.
And it's detrimental. It's detrimental, though, to the cause. Because if he genuinely believes these things, his notion of process is detrimental to these outcomes that he supposedly professes. And that is what I find so agitating, because if you concede that this is just a question of how we get there, as opposed to there's some people who actually don't want to get there, that we don't have shared goals, that is very problematic, because people, particularly on off-year elections, are disinvested from voting.
Yeah, and now they're for the first time since 1965, they're institutionally blocked from voting.
Indeed. And he should have used this moment as a way of rallying those people who didn't vote in 2014 and say, this is why you should have voted, because your voting rights are being threatened. This is why you should have voted, because your sovereignty over your own body is being threatened, not just because of abortions, but because of contraception. This is why you should vote, because they want to take your parents away who have been in this country for 15 years and have been doing nothing but work. This is
playing by the rules.
And playing by the rules. I mean, that I found so aggravating.
Yeah, I mean, I am not quite as aggravated by you as you are, but I have been, disturbed by that whole thing ever since I first heard it in Boston. But I think it's like asking him not to be tall. I mean, there's just nothing you can do about it. It's what comes with that spirit, or that rhetorical trope, or that deeply held belief, which it may very well be.
Right.
That's part of the guy. I mean, that's just not going to go away ever. And if he thought last night he could give it, he could use it and take the high road over what he was sure was coming, in response, then I don't have a real problem with him using it. I don't think it's conducive to getting where he wants to go, though. I agree with you on that.